Okay guys, so welcome back to today's video. Bit of a different one because I've been given the keys to the new Model 3. So very exciting updated car from Tesla. I'd like to go through a few things with you guys. I haven't actually driven the Model 3 previous gen to this, but I've driven every single other one that Tesla have done. So apart from the Cybertruck, we will be doing that when that comes out. If anyone's got one, let me know. But I wanted to go through a few things to start today's video, a few interesting things and updates more than anything that this vehicle has over the initial Model 3. Now, of course, bodywork, styling has changed, the front, back, Tesla along the back as well. Really cool badging on this going across the back of the boot lid. Different style wheels to the previous gen as well, of course, changing the body styling of an electric car. They've, of course, changed how the wheel fans look, so updated wheel fans. I was chatting to the guys at Tesla. They have said, you know, the biggest change you'll really feel is the comfort side and how this vehicle feels when you're driving it. Noise cancellation, better materials, things like that are the biggest steps forward in this generation. So I should be able to, and well, I'm doing it right now. I'll just open the door. You can hear wind noise, you can hear road. Don't know if I can pick it up on my mic or my camera, but there is a lot more acoustic sound deadening. The glass is just better in this version. It's the first thing I really noticed jumping in this one after being in, you know, various other, not new cars, but, you know, cars from previous generations, especially electric stuff. You got to, as a car comes past, can't really hear that as much, if I'm quite honest. The thing with electric cars, I've said this in the past, everything is amplified because you are silent. So the mirrors, the road noise, everything, you can hear that a lot more. So it's good going forward that they've really concentrated on that, which is something, again, when we're driving, we'll really assess that and see if they've done a good job. Quality of materials as well. It just feels a little bit nicer in here, a bit more of like a premium product. They've just gone up a bit more of a level in maybe the material they're using on the seats. It just feels like a bit more of a premium product, which is really good. Weirdest thing I'm gonna say, it's got no stalks, which is odd. I drive old cars all the time. I drive, you know, mid-2000s and, you know, even normal cars. There's no stalks on this, so your indicators are actually on the left-hand side on the steering wheel. So are your lights, your wipers, everything is on steering wheel now. There's no stalks, which is odd. And you actually go into drive with the center screen. There is buttons up here as well, so we'll say that. And there is buttons just along the center panel at the top to go into park, drive, neutral, all that stuff. You actually control it all from the screen or from the steering wheel. So from someone that goes from car to car a lot, big change for me. I drove here and have been playing with the idea of not even being able to look down and press the buttons for the indicators. Now we're starting today's video with 77% battery. I will say it's 210 miles, it's saying, but that's obviously down to how we're going to drive the car next. And as you can see, if you are into your electric vehicles, current drive, I've done 2 miles to get to this location, but I'm going to be enjoying it. I'm going down some back roads, doing some city driving, you know, all that stuff. So taking it into every aspect that you should find a normal car. The other thing to talk about is this is rear wheel drive. So rear wheel drive, Model 3, and I will slide it into drive. And away we go. I will, because I can, put my heated steering wheel on, which is really, really cool. Heated steering wheel in these heating and cooling seats as well. I am a luxury car fan. As we come up to our first obstacle, indicator on, which is on the steering wheel, and it shows the camera for the right hand side when we're coming out there, so I didn't have to check the mirror, although I will check the mirror because I am still like that. I am still like that. So first proper road. I know this road is a little bit harsh. I know that I've driven a lot of cars down here, so I know that the road noise and the obstacles that you will find in the road, especially along here, potholes and stuff, is quite great. So that's why I've sort of selected this at the start of the video, is to prove the theory of the updated cabin quality and how it is to actually being and drive, especially over a harsh surface. You will notice that straight away. I've got to say, doesn't lurch around, which is quite nice. Not a lot of road noise either. Definitely a lot less than I remember from previous gens. Again, I haven't unfortunately driven the previous Model 3, but after the Model S, Model X that we've done, it's definitely a big difference. There's a big bump there, and that took it with its stride really, really well. Updated platform, of course, on the suspension. Big tractor. That's a very loud tractor as well, and that yeah, that's really, really good news. I didn't really hear it. Well, I mean, you heard it, but I didn't hear it to the level I usually would. Dynamically driving, we're actually in chill today, so it's doing a lot of regen braking for me. I haven't, and this is characteristics of especially Teslas, is that I haven't really used the brake, if I'm honest, and that's such a step in a weird direction. Usually, especially a lot of automatic stuff that I've owned, you are consistently on that brake, braking the car down. There's not a lot of engine braking. Of course, this regen braking, it will bring you to a slow and comfortable decrease in speed or stop. So let's punch it along here. Doesn't sound fast. Biggest take home you'll ever get in an electric car versus, you know, combustion, of course, is going to be the way it sounds. I'm not hearing anything, of course, so I'll just indicate that way. Oh yeah, check my mirror anyway, but I can see there's nothing there. That's really good. Very easy to drive, isn't it? So what's the hype? That's what I've really concentrated in this video around, is what's the hype? I drive a lot of cars. I drive a lot of old cars, new cars, and the hype around the Tesla product and maybe a new revised version of a Tesla is always a very interesting topic. As we overtake a cyclist quietly, is the hype. The hype of the Tesla brand is a pretty fantastic one, actually. It leads itself to the hype, and the updates in technology, you can see where the hype comes from. Does it live up to expectations though? That's the big thing. Of course, if you're into the Tesla brand, it will. It always will. It will be the next best thing. And that's a great thing. I always come into, you know, videoing, especially any new car, with a complete blank canvas, whether I like the car brand or not. That shouldn't really reflect how I feel about the car. This being, of course, a fantastic daily driver and comfortable and quiet. I actually, you know, if you don't know, I drove my Corsa VXR here today, not for any reason other than I just like driving it. And although that's not got supple suspension and it's not racy suspension, I can feel a little bit more stability, I suppose. Maybe, yes, we're in an unworn car and it's not as choppy as I remember a lot of the previous gen Teslas being. They're just a little bit more stiff. I can feel the stiffness, I definitely can. You can sort of feel the weight as well, but that's down to, you know, pretty supple chairs. They are very, very comfortable. I do think though, if you are a Tesla fan and if you're an electric car fan, you're not going to be talked in and out of this car. I do think it's subjective to whether you want to own one of these anyway. I don't think you're going to get won over by people that like V8s and old cars. So me being completely blank in the idea of driving this around and maybe taking it from a different perspective of, would I like to update my daily driver into one of these? Would I find it beneficial in my life personally to change my car for one of these? No, not at the moment, and I've said that multiple times in the past. I don't, you know, do enough mileage. I don't necessarily need the savings in petrol, I'd say, and I'm still old school, so winning over me is a bit of a funny one. That's not a negative thing though, because I do believe there is a place in the market for vehicles like this. Of course there is. There's tons of people out there that would want one of these. And don't get me wrong, if I was had my sensible hat on one day and decided that I do need a sensible car that does the right mileage, that doesn't cost me the earth to keep going to the petrol station, and I want something new, quiet, and it had to be electric because of maybe ULEZ or various things like that, I completely get it. If I was closer to London and I was doing, you know, multiple trips into the city centre and I wanted the creep mode that this has and the autopilot around the M25, completely get it for that. I would have one probably in a heartbeat. Completely understand it. For me on the Isle of Wight, that's where I live, that's where I, you know, do most of my shoots. I don't do a lot of travelling since COVID. We don't travel as much as we used to. It's still a very niche market down here. The American market, completely get it. You know, big open roads, autopilot, the charging facilities, the infrastructure they have. We don't have superchargers down here, so that's, again, completely subjective down to where I live and what my needs are. But taking myself away from that, if I had superchargers on my doorstep, if I had ULEZ on my doorstep, if I was after something that ticked the box in that sense, that I didn't need a big car and I didn't need this gas guzzling thing, and I needed that relief of not paying £12 a day to drive into the city centre, 100% you'd buy one, of course you would. Okay, so we've pulled over. ID3 just drove past, so relatively similar comparison. I think I like the look of this more than the ID3. Don't know, I quite like that too. Don't know, let me look on below. So since charge, it's done 62 miles. I haven't done 62 miles. So we're about to round up exactly what I've done with my trip today. I've done around 19, 20 miles. I haven't got too much time with this vehicle, but range tips. Aggressive acceleration consumes more energy. Don't know what you're on about, mate. Increased climate control activity, air drag, tyre drag due to cold weather, cost of 0.1% in this trip. So interesting. So it's showing 72% of range left, and that is showing 197 miles. So take that as you wish. That's my overall journey with my small amount of time that I've had with this Tesla Model 3. And thanks again to Vehicle Consulting Solent for letting me take the Model 3 for a review today. If you are after any EVs leasing on the Isle of Wight, these are the guys to go to. Links are in the description.